Part one of how I ended up in the hospital yesterday because I had food poisoning. It's so crazy to think about how 13 hours ago I was in the hospital and I look like I wasn't in the hospital, like on my deathbed. But I'm okay now. I am grateful that I'm alive and breathing because, Lord, I thought I was gonna die. I had ate Chipotle the other night. I had a bowl. I always get a bowl from there, but I don't eat Chipotle consistently. Like, I don't go out and just get Chipotle all the time. For the day that it happened, since it was not yesterday, at this point, it was the night before. So I had Chipotle, got a bowl, and it was so good. I had their new honey chicken that it was, and I was tearing it up. Ate it, good. Okay. Literally the next day, I went about my day, got me iced coffee. I didn't have anything to eat, so I know that that plays a factor into it, but I had my iced coffee. I drink hella water during the day. I was fine the next day. At home around like 5 or 6 o'clock, I started to feel nauseous, and I was like, oh, why do I feel nauseous? Like, for what? Like, what is the reason? Like, I've been drinking water. Like, okay, this is probably time for me to eat something, whatever. I instantly just started feeling like my body was going numb in a way with nausea, dizziness, and I felt like my stomach was full and empty at the same time. So I was like, what is going on? And so after the nausea was like getting stronger, I was like, okay, I need to throw up. So I started throwing up. This is the point where it gets so bad. It gets crazy. Part two of how I ended up in the hospital because I had food poisoning. Back to where I left off, I was throwing up. At this point, it started off light. Like, I was throwing up the Chipotle I had. Like, my vomit showed Chipotle. My body's rejecting the food. It's fine. I'll throw up and I'll feel better. Like, it's out my system. But no, I started throwing up at this point every like 30 minutes. It was something that I was kind of used to. So on my page and my content, I talk about my sobriety journey. I am 2 years sober. So what it ended up like forming into of what I felt like in the past was when I had alcohol poisoning. When I was an alcoholic and getting blacked out drunk and having alcohol poisoning, I would end up throwing up so much that I was throwing up all of the food and alcohol I had in my system. And also, just at that point, if you don't have anything else to throw up, you're throwing up your stomach acid. And so it's like a yellow color. And at that point, like, you're just hyperventilating. So that was like happening as the hours were going on of the night. So at this point around, I would say, like, I don't even know. I don't even know what time I got to the hospital. But obviously, if you're throwing up like within so many times of the hour, like, it's probably time to go to the hospital. And I just didn't. I was like, I'm used to this. I was an alcoholic. Like, please, like, I've dealt with this before, you know? I ended up throwing up like one last time, and it was like tiny bits of blood in my vomit. And it's so crazy because as many times as I've thrown up as an alcoholic in the past, I've never threw up my blood before. So I was really concerned at this point. I couldn't even stand, really. I couldn't do anything. My boyfriend was with me, so he ended up calling the hospital and saying like, what's the best recommendation, whatever. So they told us we should go in, and I couldn't even walk. Like, I had to get strength to walk at this point. I was like hunched over, my eyes were closed, and I was just like breathing really hard, like, and it was getting worse. So I had teary eyes. It was so bad. Couldn't walk. My speech was just gone at that point. Once we got to the hospital, I was checked in, and then I started hyperventilating. And mind you, like, I'm trying to paint a picture, but just imagine like you're throwing up, you're hyperventilating, numb, nauseous, dizzy, and you can't even stand or even talk. Like, that's how bad it was. So I was hunched over like this with a bag while my boyfriend was helping me with everything. And once I got in the wheelchair, it was over for me. Part three of how I ended up in the hospital because I got food poisoning. I'm in the wheelchair and I started hyperventilating really bad. If anybody has ever hyperventilated or had alcohol poisoning before, like, then you understand what it's like. I started cramping really bad. The nurse took my vitals, so she was taking my blood pressure, and that didn't help at all because I started cramping even more. I'm trying to throw up. There's nothing to throw up anymore. I threw up everything of every ounce of liquid I have in my body. At this point, I was ready to throw up my veins. Like, that's how bad it was. I felt so bad for my boyfriend because he didn't know what to do. He was so helpful through everything. He is a godsend. He is amazing, and I'm so grateful for him. So he was helping me with everything, and I feel so bad that he had to see me like that. Hands started cramping up like this. My arms, my legs, all went into a shock, like static shock, paralyzed. I couldn't move, couldn't talk. And so they immediately took me into the other room and they put a wet cloth on my forehead. The nurse was like, you have to try to sit back. So I tried sitting back and I would just kept going back down. I honestly felt like I was going into a seizure. Like, that's how the most closest thing I can describe it to. So I was like, I think I'm going into a seizure or something, but I'm just thinking that in my head. I can't actually say that out loud. I wasn't able to talk. I was leaning back. I started to gain more consciousness of trying to breathe in and out. They were talking to me. I'm sure that's like a form of a technique to get a person's mind off of the pain and the feeling. So my nurse was talking me through, trying to help me breathe, asking me my name. So once I was finally able to sit back, they ended up putting me on the bed and taking my vitals. They took my blood. I'm able to get a little bit more of my speech back, but I'm still breathing very hard. And my hands were locked. My legs eventually loosened up and I was able to get a normal feeling in my legs, but my arms and my hands were like this, like a zombie, just straight locked, couldn't move, cramped. It was so terrible. I have pictures, so I will show pictures because it looks so crazy. I was stuck like that for about an hour and a half, maybe. They took my blood to go test it in the lab, and everything came back normal, which I was very happy about. This time, the nurse came back, put the IV so I can get fluids back in my system and the nausea medication. At this point, I was trying to unlock my hands. It was so bad. Part 5 of how I ended up in the hospital because I got food poisoning. I was just laying down. I was finally able to talk. I was so happy to talk and have a normal conversation with the nurse and my boyfriend. Just cramping, and I will show pictures. And so this is the IV that was placed to get all my fluids back in, and then I'll show you my hands. This is the right arm, and as you can see, my finger is just straight out locked. It was worse before, so my boyfriend kind of got it after it calmed down. But my arm is arched like this and my hands are bent. That's crazy. It looks so scary. And here we have the worst hand, the worst arm, and worst feeling in the world, straight out of a movie. Look at my fucking hands. I could not unlock my fingers. The way he took it is that way in front of it, but to the side, my hands, my pinky was out and then my thumb was like this. And I was just locked like this the whole time. I couldn't bend my arm like that out. It was just like this. And I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to stay like this for the rest of my life, and I'm fine with that because what can I do? It wasn't going down. My fingers were not unlocking. It was so fucking, I think I cut the video a little short, but it was fucking scary. And eventually I was finally able to get this arm down to my side and then wiggle my arms because the IV bag was done and it went all through, got my fluids back. The doctor came in, he said the blood work was fine, how I said before, and he said it was probably food poisoning. The only other thing could be a day virus that I got, which makes sense, but to me, what makes more sense is the food poisoning from Chipotle because I have not had that type of experience before with food. In my mind, it was just, that's the only thing that I can come up with is that Chipotle did this to me. But I'm alive, I'm good, and that is my story. So yeah, that's crazy.